Hello then and welcome to Hub Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. In this video, we are looking at sample space and then events, and by the end of it, be able to define sample space and events, list the sample space for different experiments, that is both simple and then compound events as well, and then also determine their probabilities. So let's quickly look at the following. Now, in our previous video, we looked at what experiment is, right? And we said it's just an activity or process that leads to a result, right? Then we look at what an outcome also is. The outcome is the possible result of an experiment. And then also what the sample space is. That is the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. And then we also looked at what the event is. So we are building from there. So building up from there, we are looking at some common events and their sample spaces. We first of all start with what? Tossing a coin. Now, when we want to toss a coin, if you take a coin, you realize that it has the head and then the tail. You see? So its sample space is just what? H, comma, T. That is all. Where H represents the head, and then the T will represent the tail. This is the sample space of tossing a coin, right? And with this, we can say the cardinality of this event is what? 2. It means it has just 2 elements. Now, what if we are tossing 2 coins? What if we are tossing 2 coins? Tossing 2 coins isn't that difficult to get. You just build from your knowledge of tossing a coin. You see? So in that case, you have a column and then a row, right? So if you toss your first coin, you can either get a head and then a tail, right? So this column here represents our first one. Then if you toss the second coin as the row, we can either get a head or another tail. Hence, if we are tossing both together, then it will simply mean that we can either get a head and a head, that is both together, you see, or you can get a head and then a tail, that is head and tail, you see, or the first one could give you a tail, then the second one gives you a head, that is head and tail, or finally a tail and then a tail, you see. So with this now, we can get our sample space. So the sample space for tossing a 2 coin or 2 coins, right? If you toss 2 coins, your sample space is just going to be what? A head and then a head. That is this one here. Then a head and then a tail. That is this here. A tail and then a head. That is this over here. Followed by what? A tail and then a tail. This here is the sample space of tossing 2 coins. And we say the cardinality of it is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what equal to 4. As simple as that. Okay. Now let's look at rolling a die. What is the sample space when we want to what? Roll a die. So our third event is what? Rolling a die. So when it comes to rolling a die, its sample space is what? We know the faces of a die. And they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And hence, the number of elements or the cardinality is what? 6. That makes sense, right? What if you want to roll 2 dice? What if you want to roll 2 dice? Now, when you want to roll 2 dice, just as we did for flipping 2 coins, it is the same thing over here. You see? So you start by saying our first die can give us a 1, a 2, all up to 6. And then our second die Can also give us a 1, a 2, 3, 4, 5, and then what? Your 6. Then what you do is you pair these rows and then columns. And that is what is going to give you all the possible outcomes of rolling these two dice. What do I mean by that? You start by what? 1 and 1. So 1, 1, then you have 1, 2. So 1, 2, then 1, 3. So 1, 3. So you are going to do that for all. So following it through, this is a table you are going to get. How did I get it? You are just pairing the columns, right? And pairing what you have here at the column with what you have here at the row, right? So 1, 1, there's 1, 2, and then all that, right? Now the set of all of this is what is going to be our sample space. All of this here combined is our sample space. You see? So since it's too much, I wouldn't write all down. But then we can say that the cardinality of our sample space, that is number of elements we have in the sample space. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you are counting all, that is going to give you what? 36. Right? So there are 36 elements. And from this, you can be asked any question at all. Right? You can be asked any question. What is the probability that you are going to get numbers whose sum are more than 5? There are so many questions you can get just from what this kind of sample space, right? Okay. So basically that is it. But I think there's one more type of event we usually encounter in probability problems, and that is drawing a ball from a bag. So most times when these type of events, you'll be told you have a bag containing red, blue, green balls and all that. You see, so the sample space is just what the balls you have in there. And so if there are 5 balls, you put the number of 5 red balls that are there, the number of green balls over there, and then the number of what blue balls also over there, and that becomes your sample space, right? So basically, in our study of probability, these are some of the events we will be looking at. Let's pick some questions and then see how we can apply these events as well. So this question here says, what is the probability of obtaining engine? So the following when 2 coins are tossed. So first of all, what's the probability of obtaining 2 heads? Then secondly, at least 1 head, right? So first of all, we need our sample space. We are talking about tossing 2 coins, right? So our sample space. From what we did earlier on, realize our sample space, we can go back. So this here is a sample space when we toss 2 coins. This is what you have over here, right? Okay. So when we toss 2 coins, we are going to get what? A head and then a head, a head and then a tail and a head, and then a tail and then a tail. And that simply means the number of elements we have in that set is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 over here. Now it says, what is the probability of obtaining 2 heads? That is our event. So the event we are talking about is 2 heads. A head and then a head, right? So H. Now what is its cardinality? That is just 1. You see? Then remember the formula we wrote down for probability, right? So we said that the probability of an event is the number of what? Events over what? The sample space. So remember this formula over here. Hence, the probability we are going to solve for is going to be the number of events, just 1 element. So it is just 1. It is just 1 we have in the sample space. So 1 all over how many elements do we have in the sample space? 4. So that is 1 over 4. And that is just it. Hence, the probability of obtaining two heads is what? 1 over 4. Let's look into the next one. It says, what's the probability of obtaining at least one head? At least what? One head. So with that now, we can clean all of this. And then take note, at least one head here has a meaning, right? So at least one head, this one here satisfies that condition because this has at least two heads. So it has two heads. This over here also has the at least one head. And this over here also has the at least one head. The only element in our sample space that doesn't satisfy that condition is this over here. That is the two tails. You see, the two tails. So that simply means the event we are talking about, this one satisfies. That is a head and a head. This also satisfies. That is a head and a tail. This also satisfies a tail and then a head. This here is the only one that does not satisfy. And that means the number of elements we have in this event is what? 1, 2, 3. So that is 3. Right? Now the probability of this event from our formula here, it says the number of the events. The number of events here is what? 3. So 3 all over the cardinality of the sample space. That is 4. If there is a way to simplify, simplify. If not, then it is what? 3 over 4, which can also be expressed as a percentage, right? So basically, this is how we can apply what we have learned in our previous, or what we just looked at, the sample space of these kind of events. I'll leave you with some exercises you can try on your own to test your understanding. So here are some questions you are to try on your own to test your understanding. This you have to list the sample space for the following experiments: tossing 3 coins. You are tossing just 3 coins. Then rolling 2 dice. We've done that already. You can just refer to it and then enhance your understanding. Then a bag contains 2 white, 3 black, and 5 red marbles. Right? If one marble is drawn, what is the sample space? Right? And then the second one says find the probability of getting a red marble. This is how beyond numbers where we learn maths the easy way. I do hope this video will be of great help to you. See you in our next video and stay safe.